Welcome to my RFNews channel. Engineer's arm chopped off by wind turbine while working on it. An engineer whose arm was sliced off by a wind turbine blade like it was in a guillotine has won his fight for compensation. Darren Hoadley, 42, was checking the bearings in the mechanism that spins the blades when the accident occurred in June 2018. He was in the small pod at the top of a turbine on the North Sea Rentel offshore wind farm when he lost his left arm after reaching through a hole in the turbine brake disc to check safety pins. Mr. Hoadley described knowing that he was about to lose his arm after it became stuck, and he realized the turbine was still rotating slowly. He said, "It was fine, but then I realized I could not move my arm. I then realized the disc was still moving slowly and I was going to lose my arm." High Court Judge Richard Davison added, "What then happened was that the stationary single-blade mounting tool, immediately behind the brake disc, acted as a guillotine which traumatically amputated his left arm." Mr. Hoadley was praised for having courage and presence of mind to get out of the dark and cramped pod despite losing his arm. After having his arm cut off, Mr. Hoadley feared the job was now beyond him and said, "For a long time I felt as though part of my identity was missing. This haunted me for a while, and I struggled with the uncertainty that flooded my future. But after fitting a prosthetic arm and intensive on-the-job support, he was able to get back to work, undergoing a series of grueling safety and competence tests, including sea survival, helicopter rescue, and working at heights. During his sea survival training, Mr. Hoadley had to get back up a ladder for the first time in 4 years, and technicians had to adapt the hook on his artificial limb to help him cope. Judge Davison found that Siemens Gamesa Renewable Energy was mostly to blame for what happened, granting Mr. Hoadley the right to sue for more than £1 million. He said, "The key features of the accident are that the claimant thought that the brake disc was locked and immobilized and that the power was off. He therefore thought he was safe in what he was doing, but both assumptions were incorrect. He did not realize his mistake until his arm was already trapped and it was too late to do anything about it." The judge said the company was at fault because other technicians had turned the power on without properly notifying their colleagues. He said, "The technicians who were the last to leave the nacelle in the morning removed the rotor locks and reactivated the power without reinstating the chain and warning sign, which were intended to and would have alerted incoming staff to the fact that the system was energized," he said. "They also left the door to the nacelle open, which contributed to the false impression that the power was isolated, and which had the unfortunate side effect of obscuring vision of the control panel for the slow-speed turning device." However, Judge Davison also added that Mr. Hoadley missed opportunities to prevent the accident. He said, on this occasion, he failed to live up to his reputation as Mr. Safety. He failed to involve his installation lead. He failed to plan. He was working alone when he should not have been, and having a radio with him was no answer to that when there was no one nearby to summon and no one to act as a second pair of eyes over what he was doing. Lastly, he assumed what he should not have assumed without checking. Mr. Hoadley was judged 1/3 to blame for his injuries, which means he will recover 2/3 of whatever damages award is ultimately allocated him by the courts. At the end of his ruling, the judge also commended Siemens Gamesa for their post-accident reaction and for ushering in immediate and effective reforms to their equipment and procedures. Source: Metro.com. Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching.